Onward wins weekend box office with an unusually low Pixar opening. That is a headline on this Monday's MBE Movie News.
Yes, John, that is the headline on Monday's show. Onwards, as we know, is the latest offering from Pixar Studios, and it's coming in with a lowly $40 million, John.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on this? Because this is a film that's clearly not over here as of yet. There's obviously a lot of things to take into consideration why it's coming in so low. It's still performed well because it's coming in at the top of the US box office, not the UK's. But we'll talk about obviously the things that are obviously we have to take into account.
Yes, well, Stephen, it could very well open up number one here. As you well know, we never get up-to-date information in terms of box office for the United Kingdom. I don't know why. We're always staggering a week behind. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a few factors coming into play for why this is the case. I don't think it's that disappointing in the climate just now with killer viruses flying around everywhere.
Yeah.
It's opening to $40 million. I don't think that's too bad.
No.
It is the lowest outside, I think, A Bug's Life and Toy Story 2 though. So it's not amazing. And they do say, rightly, this is the studios, or sub-studio, because of course they are under the greater Disney umbrella, if you like. It's the first original movie and story that they have produced since 2017's Coco. Obviously, last year it was Toy Story 4. The year before that it was Incredibles 2.
Yep, sequels.
So it's a shame that they have come up with this intriguing concept. Also, they've got the acting and voice talents of Tom Holland, Chris Pratt, and a few other people in there. And it doesn't seem to have paid off in terms of a magnificent box office opening. But look, if they can stave off this coronavirus threat for a little while longer, and people can get a chance to go out without rushing off to buy ammunition or toilet roll, and I'm sure it will make up and it will stagger across the line for a decent semi-profit. People know all about Pixar now. They are associated with absolute brilliance. They're synonymous with amazing storytelling. It's multi-layered. You have a lovely superficial story for children. You have undercurrents of themes and whatnot for adults. And I'm sure this movie's the same. I haven't seen it yet. But look, Tom Holland's here, Chris Pratt's here, two of the better actors just now, really unique voices, brilliant personalities, very charismatic. I'm sure they bounce off of each other very well in this. I think it's two brothers. But yeah, I mean, it's a shame it's opened unusually low for the studio, but I mean, as it has says, there's a combination of factors there. It's not quite summer period yet. It's still, what are we in here, spring? Is it still winter?
Still kind of winter. Depends on if the groundhog saw the shadow or not, John, but you're right. Listen, I think, it does say in this article, it was pegged anywhere between 40 to 55 million, but it also does say Disney would have still been hoping for a little more. Typical studio, they're always looking for a little more. But you're right, John. I think the name Pixar itself, I think they're in a position now, you don't even have to say who their mother studio is or anything like that. And you're right, I think the likes of the cast that are involved in this as well. It's I mean, the story itself, John, is very, it
looked intriguing.
Anyway. I mean, and you're right, I think all family members could get something out of this film as well. Not sure exactly of the release date here in the UK, but I think it'll be pretty close, John, if it's not already out. But I'm looking forward to this. We did the trailer reaction. I don't know if we actually ever put that one out, but we did do a trailer reaction for this, John, and I did like the look of it. It's good to see that Tom Holland, Chris Pratt, who've got these very energetic voices anyway, it would make sense for them to do some voice work every now and again as well. But I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I don't think $40 million is branding it a flop or anything like that. I think it's actually doing okay domestically. It's going to be very interesting to see how it does over here though.
It's going to be very hard in Europe. Mainland Europe are being ravaged just now by the coronavirus, likes of France and Germany, Italy. People will not want to be going to the theatres. Perhaps the UK still not quite as bad. I think we are maybe a few weeks behind in that sort of infections and whatnot, so people are still going. I mean, I'd still go and see it for sure. Stephen, what they do say though is, I mean, it's got the whole month to itself. There's no competition. until Peter Rabbit 2 for that sort of family demographic. So it's got a long enough time in terms of stint on its own that it can make up some money, hopefully. And as I do rightly say here as well, this movie isn't really an event movie. It's not something people are tripping over themselves to buy pre-advanced tickets or whatever you'd call,
no.
and then running into the theatres to see it. It's not something that I was hugely enamoured with. I thought the trailer looked okay, but the actual... It's not like Toy Story 4 or The Incredibles 2, where we've waited 8 years or something for that movie.
Household names as well, John.
It's a lesser Pixar release. So, I mean, as I did say, I know it'll be great. And look, you go to see their movies just for the little pre-screening shots and stuff you get. Usually it's a Pixar original. This year with this one, I think it's a Simpsons thing.
That's right,
it's a little Simpsons shot.
It's supposed to be very good.
You go and see it for that alone. So, I mean, I'll give it a bash.
I would love The Simpsons, John. I would love to see how that short plays out as well. But listen, we'll keep on the subject of box office. This is box office projections. It's early Black Widow box office predictions even.
Yeah.
Predict $115 million opening weekend. Early box office projections for Black Widow predict the Marvel Studios Phase 4 movie will open to $115 million domestically in its opening weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen, that's not too bad at all, is it? For a standalone movie, for a character that's already bit the bullet.
Yeah.
She's dead.
We know her fate,
I mean, it's gone back and forth, flipping all over the place. 1990s, I believe. And then going forward to the events between Civil War and Age of Ultron. I don't think that's a bad opening at all. It's certainly not the best opening, but they do say in another article related how it kind of matches up to other MCU releases.
Yeah.
It's not quite as good as the likes of Captain Marvel, which opened to $153.4 million. But I think just the way they shoehorned the Carol Danvers character in, being a huge part in the likes of Endgame, just how this character was going to be introduced.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that Captain Marvel's quite powerful. She's this cosmic sort of superhero. I think that maybe helped propel that. I think now when we get a Captain Marvel 2 with Brie Larson's sort of connection, a lot of people don't like her. I don't think that'll open quite as big.
No.
I don't think it's a fair comparison as well with this being a sort of past flashback movie, if you like. And when you do compare it to the likes of Spider-Man Far From Home, it's not too bad. It opened to $95.5 million. So that's opening in a similar range to Spider-Man. And I mean, that's a brand, that's Tom Holland.
Yeah.
And that was a fantastic movie. So I don't think it's a negative, this movie opening to $115 million.
No.
The Marvel movies always have legs. They'll always have people going and watching it. People appreciate Scarlett Johansson, what she did with this character for 10, 11 years. They'll go out and watch this movie multiple times. It will probably gross between at least $600 and $800 million, I would imagine.
Yeah.
If things don't hit the fan and it goes wayward with people not being able to go to theatres and whatnot. It's way above the likes of Ant-Man and the Wasp as well, $75.8 million, so it's nowhere near the worst in the
John,
sort of MCU history.
Have you ever wondered though why this wasn't part of Phase 3, like the last film in Phase 3? Why open in Phase 4 with this film? You know?
Strange. Thrown her a bone.
Well, I think partly, but I also think as well, John, a lot of people are done with MCU now. They've seen the slate for Phase 4. You know, you're sort of people that don't like The Last Jedi. Those type of people, you know.
Yes.
They've got their own agenda, you know. And I think opening with this kind of clings on to the past a little. You're right. I think opening with 115 million is pretty good for, as you said, a character that's bit the dust. And it's going to be based on flashback stories.
I'm excited
you
for it. You
might get the likes of maybe Steve Rogers or Tony Stark appearing. I think we'll get Tony Stark, definitely. You know, and it's going to be nostalgia ridden, let's be honest. But that's not to do any disservice to the Natasha Romanoff character either, John. Over the last 10 or so years, this character has formed into a very popular character for the MCU. An emotional ending to the character as well. When you think about the actual scene and the sequence was just a replica of the one from Infinity War with different characters, it still had an emotional impact, certainly for Clint, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. I think those projections are pretty. I would agree with that. I don't think it's going to be far off that, John.
No.
And I think it's an impressive opening as well if that happens for this type of film as well.
Absolutely, Stephen. Look, the final thing I would add, to rightly say, in this other Cinema Blend article, that the final barometer of success for this movie will be its overall box office cum. All three Marvel movies in 2019 grossed over $1 billion. This is going to be a quieter year anyway for film in terms of blockbusters and whatnot.
Yeah.
And with obviously No Time to Die now being delayed to November, it really opens the door for Black Widow to maybe go. I mean, when's Wonder Woman 1984 coming out? But it's not hugely packed, so they need to really punch above their weight here, Disney Marvel, to try and even come close to what they did in 2019 in terms of financial figures.
Yeah.
The Eternals is still a big unknown. We don't know how people will connect with those characters and whatnot, so look, I'm excited for it though, man. It's got a great cast, the likes of Rachel Weisz, Florence Pugh, David Harbour, also Scarlett Johansson. This Taskmaster villain as well looks cool. He can steal different abilities.
Yeah.
Apparently they have claws or something like Black Panther. So it gives me vibes of Ant-Man and the Wasp, where you have that sort of ghost character flitting in and out, and I'm sure there'll be other more nefarious things happening in the shadows. Apparently Rachel Weisz is playing a sort of big bad who turns midway through, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure it'll be a great movie, and it's a payoff and a send-off for that
I think
character.
so, John. I don't think it's very fair to say it's a safe movie, you know. In the sort of scheme of things, yes, you know, when you put it up against like the Eternals, it's not been tried and tested. It's kind of gone into the unknown.
Yeah.
You know, so you're right, but we'll move on, John, to our next article. This came in from Collider.com. It's after The Invisible Man. Jason Blum is into doing Frankenstein. Now, we kind of touched on it last week when we were, I think it was Monday's show, when we were talking about Leigh Whannell, the director of The Invisible Man. Both of us did the review for Friday. Thoroughly enjoyed the movie.
Yep.
But obviously, Jason Blum has had a little bit to say on what is coming next, and he had this to say, John: "I'd love to do Frankenstein. I've tasked our filmmakers with trying to figure out just straight Frankenstein." Not really sure what he means by that. Again, I don't know if someone else is doing it. I don't know anything about it, but I would love to try, and I'm waiting for the great ideas. The best ideas feel like, my gosh, it's so obvious. Why didn't that happen before? If we can come up with something as good for Frankenstein, I'd love to try it.
Yeah, Stephen, I don't quite understand what he means about straight Frankenstein either. Does he mean it's going to be about Dr. Frankenstein? Straight Frankenstein? How he... Another origin story about this man being thrust into the strange world of necropsy, what's it called? I don't know, but working with dead bodies anyway. So I'm going to focus on that again, because I recall that one in the mid-90s, I think, which was quite freaky.
Mary Shelley's, the one with Robert De Niro.
Yeah, that was pretty damn creepy, that one. So I think we've seen that time and again. They'd really have to do something unique, like we got with The Invisible Man, where it's almost blending Sleeping with the Enemy type movie with this invisibility concept, doing something different with it, just the unique concept of focusing on the trauma and how this has affected this person, how no one around her believes and whatnot, just adding some layer and nuance onto the horror. I don't know how you do that with Frankenstein. It's been done so many times. I mean, my favourite interpretation is Gene Wilder with Young Frankenstein. Was that Mel Brooks?
Mel Brooks,
yeah. That's still my favourite.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you top that at a comedic level. You're not going to do a comedy, so it's got to be out and out horror. Then you're getting back. What was the first Frankenstein? I mean, Jesus Christ.
I think it's like The Invisible Man, John. It goes
30s,
back many decades, but it's interesting
hard one to do.
Yeah, I mean, one of the sort of things the article does point out, and I actually did home in it as well, was Blum saying, "I've tasked our filmmakers," which is very interesting, because you look at the likes of David Gordon Green, who did Halloween. That's one of his guys. And also,
he's just signed a new deal with them, so maybe him.
And another part of the article, which made me actually forget about The Bride of Frankenstein. This was something that was they were talking about for a good while. Bill Condon was involved. Javier Bardem. I think we talked about this actually in one of our shows, our podcast, John. But this was more to do with the Dark Universe at that point, which they seem to have kind of cooled down on it a bit. They've still got the old, Monster Universe in their heads and stuff like that. But this would be very interesting for that storyline of the Bride of Frankenstein, which is obviously another old take on the character as well. But I'm not really sure, John, either what he means by straight Frankenstein. But I think you might be touching on something there. I think you might be actually onto something there in regards to going right into sort of
the actual origins, and then
pardon the pun, the meat and bones of the story.
Yes, well, that would set up the opportunity for them to then produce multiple movies where you have it focus on him bringing the monster alive, then it ends on a cliffhanger, then we get another movie focusing on the more horror-centric Frankenstein's monster aspect, which we've seen done time and again. Look, if he gets the right people on board, and look, Blumhouse 9 times out of 10, they really try to make a good horror movie. They usually make it for an absolute pittance.
Yeah.
If it's Lee Wannell again, I mean, what he did with The Invisible Man was really impressive, really surprised me. A really enjoyable movie. I've seen it twice now.
Considering the effects, John, yeah.
Yeah, the effects, yeah. I mean, look, I enjoyed it.
They weren't cheap.
They weren't cheap, no. I mean,
They didn't look cheap.
Well, it was $8 million, so they weren't hugely expensive either, but you'd imagine that the vast majority of that money would have went to effects, because it was all set in sort of indoor environments 9 times out of 10.
And a very small cast as well.
Very small cast, yeah. Elizabeth Moss probably picked up the biggest paycheck, I would hope, for that performance. Yeah. If it was The Invisible Man, then there's something seriously wrong, and perhaps Brie Larson and the likes of Natalie Portman have a point about Hollywood. But look, it'll be what it'll be, Stephen. I'm excited to see what they do with these movies. We were joking about the likes of Dracula and whatnot. Get down the rabbit hole, give us new takes on them. If they're shit, they're shit. You've still got the originals. If they're great, then you've broke new ground like we got with The Invisible Man. Yeah,
well, just speaking about Universal's monsters, John, that was a good way of transitioning into this article. It's James Wan is developing a Universal Monsters movie.
It's Dracula.
Yeah, and it's
an actual photograph.
Yeah, it's Dracula in it. But this sources say, so it must be true, that they are looking for shades of Disturbia, and the story will focus on a group of teens who discover that a neighbour is building a monster in his basement. Kind of reeks of Frankenstein to me,
does,
but Disturbia, that was a good film. I liked that. Yeah, Shia LaBeouf, Carrie Ann Moss. That was a good.
Shia when it was a little innocent, clean-faced chap.
It was very good in it, John. But yeah, I mean, this is obviously stirring the hornet's nest once again in regards to Universal's monsters characters: Dracula, Frankenstein, the Mummy, the Invisible Man, Bride of Frankenstein, the Wolfman, Black Creature from Black Lagoon,
Jekyll and Hyde.
You know, Jekyll and Hyde.
Was it Russell Crowe that was playing Jekyll and Hyde in The Mummy? I'd still like to see him do that, I tell you, because that was one of the better aspects of that Mummy movie. When he came in, he magnificently acted out those scenes, but then the rest of it was shit with Sophia Boutella and Tom Cruise and whatnot. Yeah. I mean, look, I'd be on board for this. You're right about Disturbia.
And James Wan doesn't seem to be giving up on this dark universe just yet, does he?
No, and he's a fantastic producer, Stephen.
Yeah.
And director. We've seen, and he gets the genre. We've seen that with the likes of The Conjuring. I want to see this guy become a Kevin Feige of horror over at Universal, just overseeing hit after hit after hit in the horror genre. He understands it. I mean, Conjuring 1 and 2 were magnificent, just intelligent. They weren't out and out jump scares, but they seemed to get there was jump scares there, but they were perfectly made. The likes of Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga were just magnificent in it. So if this guy's on board and he's wanting to do or develop another Universal monster horror movie, whatever the hell it's called, I'm on board for that, man, because the guy is just, he's great. He's one of the pioneers of horror for me in the last 10 years. I think it does sound like Frankenstein, I have to say. If you mix again, what we were speaking about previously, doing something different with the Frankenstein story, if you mix it with a Disturbia thing, which perhaps he's creating this, it's not the traditional goddamn castle up in, was it Transylvania or whatever the hell it was. I'm thinking about young Frankenstein again. Well, in Romania or something, if you take that into a modern urban setting, maybe in the United States or something, or somewhere in Europe, and it's a regular guy building a Frankenstein monster in his basement, and just coming out and wreaking utter chaos and havoc on unsuspecting people, then that would work. I'd been well up for that.
Yeah, I think it would be right down the Blumhouse's street as well, wouldn't it? But listen, we'll move on.
If they can make it cheap, yes.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, John. That's what their business model is. So I think they can. I really think they can. And if they do take essences of storyline like Disturbia, then it certainly could work. But listen, we'll move on to our final article before we move on to Box Office UK. It's Godzilla versus Kong going up against James Bond. 5 days apart, John. James Bond movie is moving, as we discussed last week, from April 10th to Wednesday, November 25th, and Godzilla vs. V Kong is due to open in theatres on November 20th. So just 5 days apart, John. Could this be the beginning of the end of the James Bond franchise? With Daniel Craig obviously leaving, the lead role. This is his last film, going up against Godzilla vs. Kong now. You'll probably have better opinion on Godzilla films and Kong films to myself.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of them. I think I made that very clear in one of our trailer reactions, one of the first ones, where I got a torrid abuse on our YouTube channel in the early days.
Very precious about Godzilla.
Yeah, and I didn't know this, but I don't care. Don't like it, so Godzilla vs. Kong. What's your take on this anyway, John? We can talk about this film as well if you want, or if you don't want. It's up to yourself.
I'll briefly talk about it.
I mean, I think it's been the previous films have kind of set this one up anyway, and as you
Kong
said,
was good.
It was okay. Yeah, but it's been set up obviously with a 20th November release. How big an impact do you think this is going to have on the Bond film?
Probably massive, Stephen. And he'll slap it into Barbara Broccoli and Daniel Craig and everyone else involved in delaying this Bond movie, because there was so many people excited to go and see this movie, and it's an original slot, I think, next month.
Yeah.
And they've now delayed it a ridiculous time, and now we have experts for the coronavirus, incidentally. They didn't come out and say it, but it was. We now have experts saying, well, it'll probably disappear in the summer and then rear its ugly head again in November. So it's going to get delayed again, or if it does come out, it's going to get bitch slapped by reportedly a very good Godzilla v Kong movie. Apparently the early screeners and reactions are overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah.
So if they can get their act together and make amends for that absolute jalopy of a movie from last year, then they're in trouble. I would say Bond are in trouble, Stephen. But look, it's James Bond. Take it back immediately. Daniel Craig, final swan song as 007. It'll probably do just fine. It's probably different demographics, in fairness, that are going to watch a Godzilla movie and a James Bond movie. They have a slight head start as well, so you'll probably see them both doing pretty damn well if everyone doesn't get ravaged by a certain disease from goddamn China. Damn you, China.
James Bond will survive it because he doesn't
he never dies. Yes, he never dies.
But listen.
Look, Stephen, briefly talking about King Kong, though, I do expect that to do better. I mean, probably not beat James Bond, but I do expect it to do better than, as I did say, the Jalopy.
Films,
yeah, because it was a crap movie. I think we covered that in the top 10 worst movies of 2019. It wasn't the best, and I actually had a chance to see a bit of it again recently, and it's not aged well. It's just shite. Yeah,
I'll stick with my Toots adverts, John, but listen, we'll move on to Box Office UK. For the weekend of February 28th through to March the 1st, 2020. Coming in at number 1 is The Invisible Man in its first week, grossing £2.8 million.
Yes, no, it's dollars, but we'll say it's probably about 2 million. Yeah, they're screwing us over, Box Office Mojo. It's an okay opening. It's come in number 1. I'm glad, because horror movies don't, generally speaking, transition well over to the UK. We've seen it with Halloween.
Which is crazy when you think about the Hammer films, John.
Yeah, they don't seem to do well. Well, these type of ones anyway. So I'm quite impressed to see it's opened in at number 1. Overall performance, it's just shy of $100 million. As I did say, a $7 million budget, not 8. So it's already made a monumental profit, and this is the real benefit for Blumhouse. When you make, or if you can make a movie for so little, you're onto a winner no matter what happens, because even if it flops, it's still going to make about 10-15 million. So hats off to them.
Yeah, hats off to them, John. Coming in at number 2, it's Parasite in its 4th week, and it's grossed another 1.3 million over the weekend, 13.3 million overall. Yes,
very impressive, Stephen, to see that back up at number 2, 4th weekend. It's up 14 theatres, it's down just 40%. That's a not bad drop. After 4 weeks, $246 million, just shy of it, worldwide. Fantastic. Well done to Bong Joon-ho and everyone else involved. It's a magnificent movie, utterly flawless for me, and I'm glad to see not only is it a critical success, but it's also a financial success. So well done.
Well done. Hats off and all that. But we'll move on to number 3, John. This is the latest offerings from Mark Ruffalo. It's Dark Waters in its first week, grossing £1.1 million overall.
Never heard of it, Stephen. I didn't even know Mark was in it.
Yeah, Anne Hathaway's in there as well, I think. Yeah, so good cast.
Surprising to see it's open so low then. Clearly they don't have the box office appeal that I thought they did.
That's
Clearly it's just the MCU.
It'll be the marketing again, John.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's been much advertising of this film over here anyway.
Zilch.
Can't speak for the US, but certainly not here.
$16.8 million overall, Stephen. Don't have budget information, but it can't be a huge budget movie, so it's okay.
Yeah. Good cast though. But listen, we'll move on to number 4 this week, John, and its 4th week. It's Dolittle, grossing 1.1 million over the weekend, 19.5 million overall.
Blows my mind, Stephen, it's crossed nearly $20 million here, and apparently it's an absolute shit show of a movie. But it's Robert Downey Jr. You speak about box office appeal. This guy could probably make a movie just about dragons farting, like apparently was added in a reshoot, and it would probably make $20 million because it's Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
$221.6 million worldwide. Finally topped the budget, but I think with promotion and whatnot, it's not made a profit, and I don't think it will. But look, it may just sneak one, and that would be a win for him and his wife. So
certainly would,
well
John.
done, Robert.
Yeah, well done, Bob.
Yes.
We'll move on to number 5, John. It's Emma in its 3rd week. It's grossing 900,000 over the weekend at 8 million overall.
Yes, this is a period piece. Actually did intrigue me when I read about it, but it is, I think, Jane Austen. So the intrigue kind of left very quickly.
But it is a comedy, John.
Yeah, is it a comedy?
Yeah.
See, it might not be Jane Austen at all. I've got it in my head.
I think the characters are based.
Yeah.
It could be. I might be wrong, but I think the characters are based on the Austen novels, but with a spin on it.
Oh, that may intrigue me then.
Yeah.
They did a zombified Pride and Prejudice, I'm pretty damn sure.
Yeah, with zombies, yeah.
That's strange.
Yeah, well, this has got Anya Taylor-Joy in it, Johnny Flynn, and Bill Nye's in there as well.
Well, that's enough. That's enough for me. I'm there.
So this is directed by Autumn De Wilde, but it's based on the novel by Jane Austen, but it is a comedy drama. So Bill Nye's in there. Big fans of Bill Nye, John.
Heard it or not? Yes.
Yeah.
$20.9 million worldwide, Stephen. I haven't got budget information. It is a universal release. Well done. If you've made a profit, I don't know if you have or not. But I hope they have for Bill.
Yeah, I hope so as well because I like Nye.
Yes.
But number 6 this week, John, it's 1917 in its 8th week. It's grossed £800,000, dollars, whatever you want to call it, pesetas, Hungarian luncheon vouchers, who knows, but it's 54.9 million overall. Yes,
Stephen, delighted to see this movie still in there. It thoroughly deserves to be in there. $54.9 million is incredible for a movie of this ilk. It's a period piece. It shouldn't be a surprise in the UK though. We love World War 1, 2 movies over here. We're very patriotic, some of us anyway. Others perhaps not so much. 1917 worldwide, $364.8 million. It's made a success in terms of winning some things and also in terms of earning some spondulics. So well done.
Well done, hats off, helmets off.
To Sam Mendes and co.
Yeah, certainly, John. I thoroughly enjoyed that film. But listen, latest offering from Harrison Ford is The Call of the Wild in its 2nd week. It's grossed 700,000 over the weekend, 3 million overall.
Yes, it's a CGI dog film, Stephen. It's grossed $100 million worldwide as well. It's got a $135 million budget. It is earning money, but just not enough to pay the bills and eke out a profit, which is a shame because look, I seen the trailer and it didn't look terrible. They seem to capture the spirit of a dog in the CG. By all accounts, it was a necessary evil because the trials and tribulations this CGI dog went through couldn't put a real life dog through it. So it's a shame that that's hampering it.
Yeah, they've tried to do the right thing. It's not worked, John, is it?
Exactly.
Yeah,
No.
which is a shame for a Harrison Ford
But
film.
they can't win, Stephen, because if you do a dog's purpose and use real dogs, PETA come on and say
you can't do that.
They're abusing them and whatnot, and this is a disgrace. And then you do a CGI dog, it doesn't earn money. So
bad publicity
you
either
can't
way,
win.
isn't it? But listen, we'll move on to number 8 this week, John. It's Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, whatever you want to call it these days. It doesn't really. Yeah, they can call it what they want. Still the same outcome, isn't it? 4th week, grossed $500,000 over the weekend, 10.8 million overall.
That's shocking. $10.8 million.
Listen, you'll just be happy that they're still in the top 10 and Sonic isn't, because they were so petty about Sonic performing well earlier on, weren't they?
I can't believe Sonic's actually dropped out that quickly, incidentally. That's quite astonishing as well.
It's got no. I enjoyed it, John.
It's no rewatch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you watch it once and you're done.
It was a popcorn flick, wasn't it?
Yeah. Look, $195.76 million worldwide. I'll not round it up because I'll be petty. It's $195.8 million. $84.5 million budget. So it's just about. But I don't know if it has eked out a profit because you have to take into account shares to theatres and then promotional push and whatnot. But it's getting close to breaking even. So I they'll take that as a minor success. By all accounts, not the worst movie.
Oh.
But I've still not seen it for whatever reason. I don't know why. I love Harley Quinn, and I love
Just
you,
not
McGregor.
gonna get up and go, John.
Yeah. I don't want to die, Stephen.
Yeah.
Going to watch a Harley Quinn movie. I want to make it worthwhile.
There's another film you wouldn't die for, John, but it's certainly hanging in there in the top 10 for the last 7 weeks. It's doing very well for a second sequel to the Bad Boys film from 1995. It's Bad Boys for Life, grossing £300,000 over the weekend, £20.5 million overall.
It's not bad, Stephen, for the third instalment in the franchise. It's pretty decent. $415 million worldwide, $90 million budget. It has made a massive profit. Well done to Martin Lawrence and Will Smith and everyone else involved. They are now vindicated for greenlighting another sequel before this one even released.
Yeah,
well done.
That confident, yeah, John. But we'll round up
And
the box
rightly so.
office this week with a film in its first week, grossing £300,000. It's Portrait de la Jeune Fille en Feu.
It's better you than me, Stephen. It's a Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Yes,
my lungs will be on fire once I drag myself out to watch this when I catch coronavirus, but it will be worth it, because I watched Chris Stuckman's review on this movie months ago, and he absolutely gushed over it. He says it was incredible, one of the flawless, most incredible movies he's seen in recent times. It's foreign language,
Yes.
obviously it's French.
Yeah.
$300,000. Yeah, $300,000. I'm getting discombobulated as well. God damn you, box office mojo. It's not too bad in the UK for a foreign language movie. $9.3 million worldwide. Can't have a massive budget. Well done. I definitely will be going and watching that one, for sure. But look, unless you have anything else to ask, Stephen,
No.
then I will end the show, because I know you don't like doing them. If you have anything at all to add about anything we've spoken about in the show, be it from Black Widow onwards, if you pardon the pun, then you can comment below and let us know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and you can subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. And if you do, then you will see us again tomorrow for MBE Heroes.